Okay, call me old-fashioned, but I think that computing in general needs massive reform, and it needs to be controlled. In my opinion, truly, there is too much freedom in computing, and I don't really like saying that because whenever you think about restricting freedoms, you think that people are going to be over controlled. But when it comes to a person's use of their personal computer, I think that there need to be legal constraints upon those who would use backdoors into the person's computer to achieve their aims at the user's expense. So when I want to do one specific thing on my computer using the internet, for example, years ago I'd be able to do just that thing. There'd be no interference from anyone else. No one would be updating this and changing this and offering me this and presenting this. It wouldn't happen. And now it's just out of hand. So every time I want to use my computer, I have to wade through 5 or 6 different obstructions put there by other people on my machine or in the way of my use of whatever facility I want to use. It's crazy. There's simply too much freedom in computing. I don't like saying it, but it's true. You've got these little nasties who are just always trying to get your attention all the time, and it's disgusting. The front door of your house is your way of shutting out the rest of humanity's access to you, but not with the internet. With the internet, you don't have a front door. You've got all these scummy little vermin. I don't know what you want to call them. Whatever. I don't know what to call them. People or businesses or whatever the hell you want to call them that have access to you. And I think that's completely and utterly wrong, and it needs to be completely and utterly reversed and revoked. You must be able to put an absolute block on anything and everything you want to get rid of and prevent accessing you through your computer. People can stop people sending them junk mail, for example, through their letterbox, but they can't stop people invading everything they do on the internet. So no, in my opinion, the internet has to be controlled in some ways. It can't just be a free-for-all. Now, I know that there are people or institutions who would abuse an opportunity like that and say, oh yes, we can control people now, but you have to have something. The problem we have nowadays is that there's no one in charge, or the people in charge are hidden and they're doing everything in secret, and that needs to be destroyed and opened up again as well. What we really need is decent leadership with responsible individuals who actually have their eye on looking out for the population. Now we've had basically complete lies fed to us for a long time that no, you can't rely on such things. No, that's a bad way of running things. But the truth is that what we have now is a rotten, empty, miserable mess, and everyone suffers. People are stressed out, they are bombarded all the time, they can't get what they need to do done properly or efficiently because everyone has access to them. And it's getting out of hand. So, in my opinion, we definitely need constraints put on this kind of thing. I've also noticed that it seems to me that how is it possible for parents to govern what media their children access nowadays? And this kind of stuff needs addressing, because we have young children now who are coming across media which they should certainly not have access to, and they have access to it. And a lot of parents nowadays, because they're basically no one's bothering to instill them with a sense of responsibility, they're just putting a telephone in their child's hand, and their child is going to be exposed to all of the rot of the internet. We really have to stop this stuff. Truly, we have to take responsibility for this absolute mess and get a handle on it. And yes, there are people who are like, no, let it continue in its nasty ways so that we can exploit, and it's just disgusting. That's the whole ethos of this liberalism and freedom nonsense. I agree, you have freedom, but it comes with responsibility. But the people who are instituting this mess that we have don't want that. They want people to be stupid and sick and dependent so they can feed off of them. It's disgusting. That's not a structure that has any substance. It's a disgusting, corrupt mess. And we have to actually get our heads, sorted in this regard, and start producing a world, producing nations, producing societies that function properly. I'm not a fan of liberalism. I think it's an absolute nonsense. You speak to anyone of that mindset for 5 minutes and they come up against a brick wall, which is called reality. Yes, they've got nice fanciful notions, but they're all complete nonsense in reality. I'd like for them to be reasonable, but they're simply not. I like the people. They're good-hearted, but they're not using their brains. If you use your brain for just a short amount of time, you can pretty much deduce what is real. But you have to be honest with yourself. And these people are living in a fantasy world. Now, those people, unfortunately, make the problem worse. Because the people who are trying to institute this mess that we've got, they're not going to get any resistance from these morons, because they've been programmed to not think. So it's up to people like me and people like me who similarly actually think for themselves to fix this situation. And we have to act. We have to do whatever is necessary to fix this world, to fix this situation. Because what's basically happened, it's like a particular virus or disease or illness has been latent, waiting for its opportunity, and bang, it's happened. And that's what we've seen in the last 20 odd years. We've seen, in the last 25 years basically, we've seen this sick bunch of people who have planned this rot, this attack on society and on the world, so that they can just unilaterally exploit, because they're not creators, they don't create anything, they just ruin and rot and feed off of other people. That's what's happened, and we're going to get to the end of this rainbow, so to speak. You can see it all around you. It's a mess. I'll also broaden this slightly onto what I see happening in the United Kingdom. Now, I spent several years in South Africa, and that country is a mess. Nobody can possibly contest me in this statement. It is a mess. All right, it's a complete and utter mess. All right, I've seen that. I've lived it. I know it is a disaster. It is a disaster. It's not functioning at all. Okay, the worrying thing is that in the United Kingdom, I'm starting to see the same things. People who are not qualified and have no business being in positions of authority or responsibility are being put there just because they fit a certain demographic. Well, no, that's ruined and destroyed South Africa, and it's looking like it's going to do the same here. And I can't allow that, because I love my country and I'm responsible for it, and all the people in our country are ultimately responsible for our country. We can't allow this nonsense to continue. This is very serious. It's extremely serious. Now, people, ultimately, I think that most people would say that my opinions are what they call right-wing, okay? But that's nonsense. I don't think there's any such thing as... to me, you've got left-wing, which at the far end is just pure socialist communism, and on the right side, you would have what I would say is just pure conservatism. Now, liberals think that they're lefties. No, they're not. Liberals are the tools of the communists or left-wing. Liberalism is not left-wing. It's mere stupidity. Those people are brainless, stupid non-thinkers who live in a fantasy world, and it's actually the people who they would describe as right-wing who are responsible for clearing up the mess that those idiots produce. Now, I personally wouldn't consider myself right-wing at all. No. I consider myself, the way I see it, is you do have, let's say, the socialists on the left, and on the right you've got a more conservative sort of element. I see myself not as in the centre. I see myself as going forwards, as in a forwards thinking mindset. I'm not interested in left or right. No time for those idiots. It's just pointless. That just divides everyone. I think that we need to really move forwards as a nation. I would describe myself as a nationalist. Definitely. I've no hesitation. And this isn't because someone's conditioned me, it's because I've sat down and thought about the problem and realised that the only answer we have is to be strong in our country. The same as any individual has only one choice in their life, and that is to be strong in themselves. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, they have to be strong for themselves and healthy. The same is true of a nation. And look at the state of our nation. We can't have this division and misery and stupidity that feeds into that, or plays into the hands of the people who are trying to exploit our country and rip it to pieces so that it's just a mess. And then eventually they'll run out of the back door and we'll be left carrying the can. Well, the best thing to do is catch it now and actually begin to now focus on what our country can be. So, yes, we need internet control. We need a lot of control on a lot of things, but it's got to be rational. That doesn't mean it's devoid of emotionality. It doesn't mean it's careless or heartless. It means that it's rational, because rationality saves the day. If you are really in a mess of any kind, take yourself into the rational and you can figure out a good way forwards. Well, at the moment, what I see around me is completely irrational. And it's nonsense. It's all based upon, oh, you mustn't say this because that's irrational. That's emotional nonsense. Emotionality has a place, but more often than not, it just tells you where the problems are, and then you have to use rationality to solve them. Anyway, the point is, we've got to step away from the nonsense and start moving forwards as individuals and also as unified societies, countries, nations. So I am strongly nationalist. That's what we have. We have an identity. Use it. The globalists want you to hate your country. Oh no, it's an evil thing. Oh, it's something you should run away from, and don't trust it, and don't trust your government, and blah. That's the poison they're feeding you to try and destroy your understanding of your own people. And a lot of people go along with it and go, oh yeah, that's terrible, because they're not thinking. It's the thinkers who are going to solve this problem. This is why when communists get in charge of a country, they slaughter all the people who are intelligent. And all these little liberals, if it comes to the crunch in such a society, they just get massacred. Oh, we thought we were doing the right thing, and they just get massacred. So, let's forego that nonsense and actually get our heads screwed on right, or correctly, or straight. Otherwise, well, there is no otherwise. We have no choice, truly. So, that's what I'm advocating. If anyone has a problem with that, I would debate anyone on the face of the earth, because I've done my thinking. I've got all my ducks in a row. I would welcome any debate with anybody. But what I really want to see is people thinking for themselves, because it doesn't take long to come to the same conclusions, because they're just rational conclusions. We've got a mess. Faffing around, making it worse, doesn't help. Being responsible, looking out for the issues and actually tackling them head on, that will fix the problem. Anyway, there are a lot of things going on in the world at the moment which are a mess, and we really need to start thinking straight about them. And yes, people need to start taking responsibility. Yeah? Taking responsibility. Assuming responsibility. Like everyone should be responsible for their country. Instead of saying, oh, well, the government will fix it. No, they won't fix it. They are responsive to what you want them to do. Which means you have to take an active part in your country. You can't just, if you leave it to other people to make your decisions, you're in serious trouble. So start taking an interest and getting active, in whatever capacity. If you want to be of a liberal mindset, fine, just at least do some thinking. I would not advocate that, but at least do something. But focus on your country. You want it to be better? Invest in it. Don't do this globalist thing. That's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. And liberalism, again, it is a disaster. People should be in positions because they are up to the task, not because it looks good on paper. That kills people. Literally. We need to get out of this mindset and into a rational mindset.